Season doesn't end for the Tigers as playoffs begin next Friday night with the Tigers hosting the Hart County Raiders. We'll be back with Coach Barnes and begin to break down the Mayfield game after these messages from our sponsors.
Have you been a victim of debit or credit card fraud? Farmers Bank and Trust can help lessen your risk of getting taken advantage of. As our customer, you have exclusive access to a security feature in our app that will allow you to turn your debit card off while you're not using it, then turn it on instantly when you need to use it. Keep your information safe. Log into our free app to use this feature, increasing the security of your information right now. Not a Farmers Bank customer? Come down. Let us set up your account and start protecting you from potential fraud opportunities. This is not a guarantee that your information will not be compromised. This is an increased security measure. Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Hello, this is Keisha Fulcher, CEO of Community Medical Clinic. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'd like to take this opportunity to both raise awareness and to welcome you to Community Medical Clinic. Breast cancer accounts for at least 25% of new cancer diagnoses in women each year, and it's the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in women. Early detection is essential in winning the fight against breast cancer. I want to encourage all women to make an appointment and speak with your healthcare provider. Your doctor or nurse practitioner can determine the appropriate age for you to begin having mammograms and the frequency thereafter based on your specific risk factors, personal and family health history. And gentlemen, you too can play a significant role by encouraging the women in your life, your mother, your wife, your sisters, and your daughters to be proactive and to schedule an exam. At Community Medical Clinic, we're committed to partnering with each of our patients and want to encourage every member of our community to obtain regular cancer screenings. We are accepting new patients and welcome walk-ins at all three of our convenient locations in Princeton, Hopkinsville, and Oak Grove. Visit us in Princeton at 310 Hawthorne Street or call us today at 270-365-0227 and schedule an appointment. We are dedicated to keeping you healthy and winning the fight against cancer.
95.5. And welcome back to the show. The Tigers, again, last night we win the toss and we elect to defer. And then immediately we catch a break by recovering a fumble on Mayfield's third play of the game. Great start for us, David.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to get with the Stars, get a turn, hopefully get a turn, get good field position. And, we we had a play call and one of our offensive linemen moves. It gives us a penalty, slows us down. And so that didn't help on that situation. And we ended up having to go for the field goal. And I think we had a bad snap or something on that deal, and we didn't get the field goal. So then they turn around and I think the next two plays they score.
And again, with the situation as it was with us picking up, recovering the fumble, again a quick turnover to start the game. We do pick up the first down on that drive, and the bright spot last night was Jameer and his running attack. We gashed Mayfield seemingly all night long, averaging 5-6, and then we would break a long run to start the third quarter. But he ran really well last night, which was obviously part of our game plan.
Well, Mayfield pretty well dictated the way they lined up that we were going to have to run. They wanted us to run the football. They were forcing us to run. They were dropping 8 guys a lot of times, rushing 3, and when you get that, you got to run the football. And I thought Jameer did an excellent job running the ball, finding holes, getting upfield, getting shoulder pad level down, and getting yards after contact. Really a super effort on his part.
And as you mentioned, we came up short. We go for the field goal to try to get on the board first, and it appeared to me to be a high snap. And I'm not sure how much the weather played a factor in Oliver being able to catch the ball last night, but we weren't able to handle the ball. It gets on the ground loose. At least we recover it. They don't pick it up and return it for a touchdown, but we lose it on change of possession, and then Mayfield takes over. And as you've mentioned, in 2 plays, they're in the end zone on a 70-yard pass play just down the seam. And one of the things that struck me last night was the accuracy of the Mayfield quarterbacks. They put the ball exactly where it had to be placed with the runner in full stride, and then the Mayfield had enough speed to get away or stay away from our defensive backs.
I think number 14 was like 13 and 15 last night for 278 yards, and he's come along all year long. As I've watched film on those guys, he's come along and done a really good job. And I didn't say this yesterday, but number 3 for them is Matt Tittle's brother that played for us in 2006. The Guthrie boy that played quarterback some last night.
And he came in and ran the ball really well. The only interception Mayfield threw last night was by Guthrie, and it was a tip ball, and we'll talk about that here later as we get into the show. But Mayfield takes the lead. They go up 7-0. And the Tigers, the other thing that was impressive to me last night, David, we had as many kickoff returns as we had to field. We returned the ball really well on Mayfield last night, except for maybe 1 or 2.
You know, when we watched the film, or as I watched the film last week, and saw how they were covering some, I told our kids all we needed to do was really get three blocks. If we got 3 blocks, we'd have a shot at getting one. And on Jameer's first one, we got those 3 blocks. You know, Matt got a kick out block for us and opened that seam up, and Jameer hit up in there pretty good. And then, you know, I was really with Pooh last night. You know, we had to put him in there, and he had some nice returns for us.
And as you say, we seemed like we focused on the sideline as the kickoff return we had against Henderson County. We seemed to attack Mayfield's flank and got good yardage all night long.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the kickoff return.
Jameer brings that kickoff back, and we start our second possession at the Mayfield 31. Key play in that drive was the best pass I guess Joby threw all night, 21-yard completion to Oliver Parker to Mayfield's 18-yard line. A nice route. Oliver had nobody on him when he caught the ball. Well delivered by Joby, and thought for a second he might be able to take it into the end zone.
I thought he was in, you know, and you go back a few series before that, we ran a similar. It wasn't that exact play. It was a similar play to hit that open spot in the middle of the field, and Oliver's wide open, and Joby stepped up in the pocket and slipped, and we didn't get the ball out. But that would have been, you know, that was a possible touchdown there on that situation.
And so at that point, Jameer then takes over carrying the ball. He has runs of 6, 4, and 7 yards. That 7-yard run got him down to the 1-yard line, and what we couldn't tell from the booth was whether it was across the goal line, how the fumble occurred, whether it was a strip, or just what happened. But apparently, obviously, did not get in the end zone according to the officials, and that hurt us immensely.
You know, I was hoping they'd put the ball down, you know, that he was down, a knee down or something, and we get the ball inside the 1-yard line and have another shot. But you know, that hurt. You know, that gets us a score. So that, you know, that's 2 scores that we don't get early there in the first quarter.
And we didn't know whether weather played a factor in that particular carry, but one of the worst angles we could have in the press box was that angle. Jameer felt like he had scored on the play, I'm sure.
Jameer felt like he did. You know, obviously as a running back, he probably does. And he felt like he'd reached across the goal line and got in. Some of our chain guys, they thought he was in. So, you know, it's one of those things that there's nothing to change it, and to me, that's a big turning point in that game.
Well, then Mayfield, after their first touchdown, the next their 4 drives in a row, they put points on the board, and on this particular drive, they take it over at their 20-yard line, begin a 6-play drive, and then they finally score on a pass of 49 yards, another well-delivered ball down the seam, and we just were a step or 2 slow trying to defend the pass. And early on in the game, we realized Trail had gone out of the game. Had that occurred by this time of the game, David?
Well, Trail went out. I can't remember. It was in the second quarter, maybe. But he took a helmet, I think, to his lower back, like a hip pointer, and came out. He was hurting pretty bad, and we decided to hold him the rest of the night.
So Mayfield scores on that pass play of 49 yards, go up 14-0. Again, the Tigers had been deep twice in Mayfield territory. In fact, it started every drive that we had in Mayfield territory, yet had no points on the board to show for our effort. And then apparently Mayfield finding some weakness in our secondary on their particular routes. I thought we had defended pretty well, but when you lay a perfect pass in stride to somebody, you're going to you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and that kid they were throwing to had really good speed. But they kind of found a hole right there in our secondary there on those seam routes, and you know that's Mayfield. They're going to attack you where you're weak, and they did a good job on the play call right there.
And the next Caldwell County possession, we move it for 1 first down, but a 12-yard loss on a bad snap puts the Tigers second and long, and then on the next play, Joby's intercepted and the ball returned to the Tiger 6-yard line. Mayfield scores in one play quickly, and they go up at this point still in the first quarter, 21-0. I'm not sure how the feelings were on the sideline, whether the kids were down or not, but I know this is type of firepower that we want to deliver to our opponents, score early, score quickly, and get them a little bit on their back feet.
You know, and that's the interception Joey threw where he should have thrown that ball away, you know, instead of just, and, you know, he knows that, and, you know, he's learning, and hopefully it doesn't happen again, but you just can't throw the ball up there for grabs down there in that part of the field. That gives them a score, and, you know, the thing Coach Stallings and Will said on the headset, you know, it's 21-0, very well could have been 14-14.
Very well could have been easily. And that's just how momentum swings and turns in a game. The Tigers again receive the kickoff and are not able to make a first down. They have to punt back to Mayfield. Mayfield taking over at the Tiger 48-yard line. And in 3 plays, Mayfield scores on a 30-yard pass play, another one of those great delivered balls, and they take a 28-0 lead. Their offensive line is giving their quarterback plenty of protection. And looking at the paper, I didn't realize at the end of the game last night we had a sack at all, but we probably had 3 sacks the whole night. I'm not sure whether they were against the quarterback or not, but Mayfield was able to protect their passer, and he was able to find his receivers.
Well, you know, watching their film, I was very impressed with their offensive line. And up front, they returned almost all those kids. I think all 5 of those kids played last year, and 4 of those 5 are seniors. And that means a lot when you got an offensive line. It's like that. And they got good size. And the thing with Mayfield, whether you go back years ago when they ran the wishbone or whether you playing the spread, their offensive line always blocked well, and you know they showed that on film. They showed it last night.
And with an experienced offensive line and some maturity on those guys, they've been in the weight room 1 or 2 years longer than our kids have, and I know you can define and discern that type of strength in their blockers, and they weren't wispy kids to start with. They were in the 280, 290 range,
And physical.
And physical, and that. So again, the Tigers find themselves down 28-0, and on our next possession, we can't move, and we're still inside Mayfield territory again on another kickoff return, and Boyce Nichols makes a nice punt from inside Mayfield territory down to the Mayfield 8-yard line. I thought that had them bottled up a little bit on their first play. They get out from deep in their territory to the 32-yard line, but then they turn it over on the next play when the ball is tipped and Dylan Gray comes up with a diving interception. And at that point, I thought, well, these kids are still playing hard. They're still going after the ball, still trying to make plays, and just trying to play the best they can.
You know, if you look at the score and you look at it defensively, it was big plays that hurt us. It wasn't. I mean, our kids were playing. I felt like playing hard. We just, you know, we got in a situation where we had 2 kids back there in the secondary hadn't played a whole lot this year, and that they exposed that a little bit. But you know, I don't fault the effort we had defensively. I thought our kids, you know, just like Dylan diving for that ball at 20, you know, and made that play right there, and they played hard the rest, all the way through. And you can't ask much more than that. But you know, you can't give up those big plays. You know, a 70-yard pass, a 40-some-yard pass. We just can't give that kind of stuff up.
Well, and that's what we know we'll have to work on this week against a team with good, fast receivers, the quarterback with the ability to drop the ball in there. I thought our rushing attack, both defensively, I thought we handled the runs well last night.
I was very, you know, at first series we were getting to the ball real well, but you know, we were getting after it, and I don't remember them ever breaking a real long run on us on a running game. It was
the only run I remember was when the quarterback on a called run picked us for about 20, 24 yards, but that was definitely the exception last night. And then they maybe broke through for a 12-yard run up the middle late in the game on us, but by and large, we had their running attack contained.
Yeah, I was real pleased with that.
And the Tigers, with the Dylan Gray interception, take over to Mayfield 41. And again, we feature the running attack, Jameer for 6, then 2 yards, then 5 yards, followed by a 14-yard run to the Mayfield 14-yard line. Dylan carries for 4 yards, and then Joby hits Gabe East into the corner, gets down to the 2-yard line with a 10-yard pass. Penalty on the play against Mayfield, takes it from the 2 to the 1. And the Tigers then get on the board on the next play with a Dylan Gray 1-yard run with our big power blocking back in there. So we did dent the scoreboard, and that did ease some of the pain, if you will. Mayfield leading us 28-7 at that point.
Gabe made a great. What Gabe did, he did a great job getting up the field and getting yards. I thought he was going to score, but that was a great effort on his part after the catch.
And as you mentioned, effort all night long was there by these kids, and Gabe did fight, probably picking up 5 yards with 2 or 3 guys trying to get him to the ground. So we score, and before the half end, Mayfield scores again on another long pass play. This time, 58 yards, and they go up at the halftime, 35-7. And we'll look at the second half when we return after these messages from our sponsors.
Mobile Deposit is here. This is Mona Van Hooser with First Southern National Bank, and our new mobile app is loaded with extra features, including mobile deposit. Now you can use your smartphone's camera to deposit checks on the go. Just endorse, point, click, and send. Download our new mobile app and try it today. First Southern National Bank, member FDIC.
Big day?
Yeah, I have a lot on my plate.
I can see that. McGriddles, hash browns, and a coffee?
Well, I do have a big to-do list.
Well, I have a big to-do list, too. Crispy hash browns, fluffy eggs.
That's your to-do list?
Part of it. I also have crispy bacon, flaky biscuits.
No matter what your day brings, there's a McDonald's for every morning. Try your favorites on the breakfast value menu, like the sausage biscuit or any size freshly brewed McCafe coffee for $1 each. A la carte only at participating restaurants. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
Welcome back to the show. David, it's halftime. We're down 35-7. How do you handle the locker room with this type of adversity? The first time really this year we've been this deep in the hole. Even Christian County, we weren't behind by that much. What do you do in a situation like this?
Well, Coach McClung, Coach Mack, they talked to them defensively and about some stuff, and I just challenged the kids. We had two more quarters of football to play with. I wanted them to go out there and compete and do the best we could, and try to get back into it and fight and claw. And didn't want them going out there, running their mouth, doing stupid stuff, get kicked out of a ball game. To go out there and show that we're here to play. And for the most part, I thought we did that.
Well, and a great coming out last night, knowing what we've had in this group all year long. We knew we weren't going to lay down. And we knew we were going to fight, or at least that was what I was feeling. Adjustment-wise, I don't know what adjustments we could make except getting some 9-second guys back in the secondary with burning speed to run with Mayfield's guys. Mayfield had more speed than I thought they had.
I knew they were very comparable to Christian County speed-wise. And the thing with them is they got 2 or 3, 4 kids they could get in the game that are like that. And
Not just one,
and they were moving those kids around, and the same thing defensively. They did use different guys up front on their defensive line. They can go with a big package, they go with a smaller package, it's quicker, and they just, they got a lot of good athletes.
And as you say, and they're obviously well coached, which is always a big plus when you're playing football or any sport for that matter. The Tigers, by deferring at the opening coin toss, get the kickoff to start the second half, and immediately on the second play, Jameer takes it, breaks off his left tackle, gets past 1 or 2 would-be tacklers, maybe a block or 2 in there, and he's off on a 60-yard jaunt.
And that was, he did a great job of seeing that opening and then bouncing that thing outside and getting upfield, and that was a big momentum swing right there to get that ball down there like that in the first series coming back.
with Jameer getting it to the house, Boyce Nichols adding the extra point, Caldwell only finds himself down at this point 35-14, and then on the ensuing kickoff, the Mayfield return guy, without being hit, to me appeared to just drop the ball, and Caleb Burden got on it, recovering for the Tigers, and I thought, hey, this is getting interesting now.
The funny thing on that one was Bradley and Will were talking on a headset, and they said, "Well, it'd be nice if they drop his kickoff return, and get us the ball right back." And as soon as they did it, Bradley started screaming. He said, "Can you believe that?" And, so we get the ball back, and feeling pretty good. And if we can get it in the end zone, we got a chance to get back in this thing.
But I think that, as we may remarked in the booth, that probably made Mayfield mad because the Tigers on their 4 downs could do nothing except go backward, still in Mayfield territory all night long. It seemed like we took over in Mayfield territory and just couldn't get anything on the board to show for it. So we have to punt, and Mayfield then another 2-play drive, 75 yards, 25 yards on the first pass play, 50 yards on the second pass play, take it to the end zone and kick the extra point. They're up 42-14 at this time, and we're not going to dwell a lot more on the end of the game. Mayfield's able to score twice more, once after a block punt that was returned to the Tiger 4-yard line, and another pass play covering 25 yards, this time by their third-string quarterback. The Tigers during this time still take possession in Mayfield territory, and one of those possessions we reached the Mayfield 10-yard line before turning it over on downs at the 14. All night long, I felt like we moved the ball as well as we could. We just didn't have it. Couldn't get it in, and elected to keep running the ball rather than passing. And as you mentioned before we went on the air, some series or some downs, they were just rushing 3 men and making Joby have to scramble and run for his life, so to speak.
Yeah, and dropping 8 guys, which is hard to throw into.
And that's the other thing that we picked up on. We couldn't see our guys in the secondary for seeing a lot of Mayfield guys out there. So I know that had to impede Joby's progress and vision as to where to go with the ball. The only open receiver maybe twice all night long was Oliver's 21-yard catch in the first quarter, and Gabe had pretty open pass play catch on his ball that he almost took to the end zone. But again, the game ends, and we almost score on the last kickoff return of freshman Barron Wells. Gets up the sideline and gets it back to the Mayfield 20-yard line. Kickoff returns went well for us last night.
Yeah, it was our biggest thing last night, I guess, and hopefully that'll keep paying off for us as we get in the playoffs.
And that's wraps up the game, and we'll take a breakdown, come back with the final segment of this show after a word from our sponsors.
October's a time for planning those home projects you've been putting off all summer. Fredonia Valley Bank has the right kind of loan to suit your needs. Whether it's a new roof, gutters, painting, or remodeling, Fredonia Valley Bank can assist and step you through the loan process with ease. You can count on Fredonia Valley Bank's experienced loan officers when applying for a home, vehicle, commercial, or ag loan. Loan decisions remain local and are guaranteed to stay with Fredonia Valley Bank for the life of the loan. It's a good feeling to know that local decisions are still being made at Fredonia Valley Bank, your real community bank. 600 Cassidy Avenue, Fredonia, and 226 Commerce Street, Eddyville. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Here's a reminder from your Princeton Electric Plant Board. Meter tampering is dangerous. Tampering with an electric meter is not only dangerous, it is dishonest and against the law. Stealing electricity by tampering with an electric meter may result in your arrest and can even risk your life. Tampering with meters results in increased utility bills that everyone has to pay. If you see anyone tampering with an electric meter, call the Princeton Electric Plant Board right away at 270-365-2031. Princeton Electric Plant Board, Princeton's #1 energy source.
And welcome back to the final segment of the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show. Looking at what we could take out of this game last night, David, obviously there are some positives. Jameer Riley with an excellent night, carrying the ball 27 times for 166 yards. That has to be something that we take a great deal of pride in.
That's something we can take from this game. Hunter Van Hooser set the school record for career tackles last night. And, again, defensively, I thought our kids did a good job getting the football. It's just, we gave up too many big plays.
And we have remarked earlier about how efficient the kickoff returns were last night, leaving the Tigers in excellent field position most of the night. And the other thing to take out of this game, if you believe in deja vu, the Tigers several years ago got thumped by Mayfield and in the regular season finale, but eventually that year made it to the Class 3A final game. So maybe we can stress that to the kids.
That was 2012, and we got back to the field house that night. I looked at our coaches. I said, what are we going to do? I mean, we played horrible, and, we get back to the field house, and we got a first-round playoff game. I said, we're done. And, those kids bounced back, and we got to the finals.
Well, and I think our group of kids this year are certainly comparable to that group of young men, and I think we bow our neck, our back, get really determined, and see where we go. And looking at the stats last night in rushing, Jameer with the 27 carries for 166 yards, Dylan Gray 4 for 8, Seth Slayton 3 for a -6, Joby 6 for a -22. We had team misplays resulting in bad snaps of a -24. So we carried the ball 42 times and net 122 yards. Receiving, we spread the ball around pretty well last night. We had 7 different receivers. Travis catching 2 balls. Unlike Travis in the earlier part of the season, they had him bottled up all night. His 2 catches resulted in -1 yard of reception. Oliver Parker, 1 catch for 21. Gabe East, 1 catch for 10. Trail, 1 catch for 6 yards. Cameron Traylor, 1 catch for 3 yards. Dylan Gray, 1 catch for no yards. And Jameer, 1 for a -3. We had 8 receptions for 36 yards. Again, the total offensive effort for Caldwell last night was 158 yards, but we had chances to get on the board more often than we did.
And we had, especially in that first quarter, we had opportunities to get some points on the board, and it didn't happen. And we got to learn from that. And basically, what I told our team last night when we got them in the locker room is that we're not even going to watch this. We won't watch this film. There's no need watching this film. The regular season's over. The new season starts this week with everybody that goes into the playoffs being 0-0, and a winner goes on, or a loser goes home. So, it's a new season, and it's a new time, and we're going to come back on Monday and get ready for Hart County, and our whole focus is going to be how far we can go in these playoffs.
Looking at what we had to contend with last night with Mayfield, especially in their passing game, they throw for 343 yards last night on 14 completions, which is an average of about 25 yards a catch. So anytime that's going to happen, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. Total yards they put up 535 to our 158. That's a huge impact to the passing game showing there. Defensively, we mentioned earlier, Hunter set the all-time tackles record last night for Caldwell County. Now stands at 400 with more games to go. He had 14 last night to lead the Tigers. Will Bashir had 11, Caleb Burton 9, Dylan Gray 6, Cole Baker 5, Jameer Riley with 4, Gabe East with 3, Tate Van Hooser with 3, Travion Samuel with 2, Devin Kilgore with 2, and several with 1 tackle last night. Interception, Dylan Gray, Hunter Van Hooser causing 2 fumbles last night. Fumble recoveries by Caleb Bird and Devin Kilgore. 1.5 sacks for Will Bashir, 1.5 sacks for Dylan Gray. So that probably is, I think, a wise move, Coach Barn. Why don't you bury this film, take it out into the practice yard, the end zone, and bury it somewhere?
Well, the good thing with the computer, you can delete it.
So now our attention focuses on Hart County and the second season, as we say, coming up this coming Friday night at Tiger Stadium. We want to note right now that game has been set for 7:30, not the regular time of 7 o'clock. And from a radio point of view, we'll be on with the Coach Barnes pregame show at 6:30. And then live at 7 o'clock, and then ready for the game at 7:30. So with a regular week of practice ahead of you, David, you don't change anything up this week of practice going into the playoff game, will you?
No. Well, normally this time of year with the playoffs, we cut back a lot. We don't on our practice. We'll spend more time in team. We'll cut back a little bit, let them get their legs under them, and make sure we're focusing on those things we're going to see or possibly see on Friday night. So.
And do we know anything about Hart County yet? I looked for their score in the paper this morning.
I didn't see their score this morning.
I don't think they played last night.
They played Russell County, is what was on the KHSA site. But they were 2-7 going into that game and had won one game in their district, and that was Adair County last week. I've gotten some film on them, and offensively, it looks like they're a run-oriented football team, a wing T type team. It looks to me like on film.
And so will we pick up more film on them this week, or just
actually we got 2 from them this morning. Their last night's game and their game last week, and then we got some other film that we've gotten sent to us.
Coming out of the game last night, other than trail and the possible helmet to the hip area, what's our injury situation look like?
Well, when we left there last night, and you never know sometimes till you come back, everything seemed pretty good. Mike, our trainer, does an excellent job. We got a great trainer. He does an excellent job. He came to me and said everybody's good except for the fact of trail.
And that's good. I didn't see anybody, obviously, in any pain during the game. I didn't realize that Trail had been injured, but nobody with a gimpy leg, ankle, or anything like that appeared.
I thought Will Bashir played really well. He gutted through that game there last night. His ankle still got to be sore from when he twisted it up, and I'm really proud of the effort we got out of him last night.
1.5 sacks, 11 tackles, and yes, he's just one of our obviously strengths in our linebacking core. And one of the things that we also want to mention now is that we had to postpone the introduction of the junior pro football kids last night at halftime. We're going to do that this coming Friday night against Hart County to give those kids recognition and to keep them hyped up, if you will, and continuing to play the game of football. In 6, 7, 8 years, we'll see them on the field on Friday nights.
That's what that program does. It's building for the future, and they do. Our Youth Incorporated guys, our coaches in the Youth Incorporated, do a great job of doing that.
And just to kind of end the regular season on the note, we finished 8-2. A lot of people not expecting that. I know all year long doing the show with you, David, that we were struck by how close these kids were, how hard they worked, how important it was to them. And any final thoughts before we sign off on the show?
Yeah, I wish it hadn't. The crowd would have been better for those 10 seniors last night, and our 2 managers that are seniors to send them off a little bit better, and we could have gotten a win. But we got 10 good. Those 10 players are good kids and been a big part of our program. And the good thing is they got some games ahead of them, so we'll come back this week and get ready to go. And one thing about ticket sales next week, any season ticket holders can get their ticket for $10. Have your same seat for the playoff games. You can see Miss Farmer at the high school on that.
And that's the other thing. We know that the crowd was down last night, so I would hope that y'all would be busy this week selling tickets.
I hope so, because that Mayfield gate 2 years ago was like about an $8,000 gate, because that place was packed, and last night it was not anywhere near that. So, and for those of you who don't know, that's pretty much what funds our athletic program is: the ticket sales.
Well, and with the season now, regular season now complete, 8-2, we're in the playoff hunt, and that's going to do it for our show today. That's 10 shows down. Game time next Friday night again is 7:30, and we'll be on the air at 6:30 for the pregame show, 7 o'clock for the live broadcast. And once again, we thank you for allowing us into your home with this broadcast. For Coach David Barnes, Ty Englebright, this is Bob Hayes, wishing you a very pleasant weekend.
Like it or not, we play the best hits.
What's not to like about that?
I don't know. I'm just reading